Dear friends, welcome back to Akshadare. Nanu Nimma Devraj. I'm Devraj. So let's start today's paper reading. Before we want to start today's paper reading, I would request you guys to please subscribe the channel, like and comment. There's nothing to tell something new about anything. So I hope you guys have following the tips which I have given in the previous videos. And if you want to become very fluent in English, just follow the tips, which is very easiest method is that is reading the newspaper each and every day. So I hope you guys would could follow the tips and reading the newspaper each and every day without miss. So just start practice this up to 30 days. I really assure you'll be very good in English communication. So anyway, let's start reading the newspaper today newspaper reading and see what's in today front page today news. The Hindu, which is very important for the competitive exams. So I hope you guys would read the same newspaper and also other newspaper also important. So choice is left to you. So let's this is the front page of the today's news. Case of embezzlement says AP government hand scam. First test flight of Gaganyaan on October 21. Two LET militants killed in joint operation. Evidence-based traditional medicine needed. Science requires open-mindedness. Rohit's India faces the Afghan test today. Delhi LG sanctions Roy's prosecution in 2010 case. Permission also granted for prosecution for former Kashmiri University professor Shaukat Hussain. The two were alleged to have propagated the separation of Kashmir during a conference. Waste processing plants will be shifted out of city. Israel retakes Gaza border areas as toll crosses 3,000. Only green crackers in state now, CM. ADED takes possession of Raja's properties. SC sets October 31 for hearing electoral bonds case. If there is a tax deduction avoided by the donor, then it electoral bond scheme may be a money bill. We are not saying anything now. This is only a discussion. Net direct tax collections up to 21.8% to 9.57 lakh crore. 8th convocation of Reva University held. Huge demand for engineering courses. Only 3,500 government quota seats vacant after CET counseling. KA conducted counseling for 110 engineering courses. Over 70% of government quota seats filled this year were for computer science and related streams. All waste processing plants and landfills will be shifted out of Bangalore cities. DKS. Heavy rain, 40% standard on flooded road for over 3 hours. Biscom helpline gets 17K planes. NIA files charge sheet against two accused. Ganesha post processions banned this year. The curious case of a bus shelter that was not stolen. St. John Research Institute part of global effort to develop AOC diagnostic technologies. With scanty rain and RE deficit, the state falls short of power while demand surges. While the previous year's power demand on October 9 was 8,818 megawatt, on the same day this year it was a whopping 15,403 megawatt. Banks told to restructure loans of farmers hit by drought. Center for Brain and Mind at NIMANS inaugurated. Firecrackers licenses to be renewed every year. HC allows reactivation of Dr. Pliff's X account after he agrees to hide defamatory posts against Himalaya. US based Gopio International opens Bengaluru chapter. From Bengal to Bengaluru, artisans giving shape to cities Durga Puja. 8,617 butterflies released in BBB's Butterfly Park Breeding Center. As per the progress report of Butterfly Park Breeding Center, 8 butterfly species were released in the conservatory dome for public observation and to create awareness about them. Mysore clears dissenters' doubts and on land bills. Mysuru Mopuzil bus pays up. Brian and Dandy from the Malayali touchings to Kannadiga Upinakai and even Korean kimchi, Bangalore mixologists are blending the essence of pickles into our glasses, shaking up the traditional cocktail scene. All new tapas style menu deep at Sin City. Cosplay coaching. The workshop, which will offer tips and tricks, aims to help cosplayers who wish to hone their skills. Skill scam is clear-cut case of embezzlement, AP tells SC. As state argues that Naidu had indulged in the scam in a deliberate and calculated manner, it says fabrication of records and misappropriation of funds cannot be termed as official duty. Pinarayi urges Jaishankar to ensure Indians' safety in Israel. IIT M campus in Zanzibar will be opened in early November. Second, the spaceport of ISRO dedicated exclusively for SSLV to be set up in 2 years in Tamil Nadu. Nara Lokesh appears before APCID in Amravati IRR case. Women want change, society needs change. Let's read this editorial page written by somebody, senior advocate. The 17th edition of the Global Gender Gap Report of the World Economic Forum, published on June 20, 2023, based on data from 146 countries, has concluded that at the current rate of progress, it will take 131 years to close the global gender gap. It is 149 years in populous South Asian countries, including India. Reservation is the most effective form of affirmative action, and equity is the first step to equality. That is, that it leads to inefficiency or incompetency is simply making excuses for not rendering tightly guarded spaces to outstate classes. I strongly contend that women are not inferior to men. Incompetencies, even if they arise, are short term and are removed soon after opportunity for skill building is made available. A very astute person once asked me whether we want men to fight women. The answer is no. What women want is a level playing field where the factor of gender, which is completely irrelevant but looms large, is removed from the equation. The basic promise of advocates against exhibition is that it will bring down competence. Alas, this is a completely misplaced notion as statistics show that women perform much better than men in academics. More men graduate from colleges than men, and more women enter the workforce than men. In contrast to this trend, the number of women sharply spirals downwards in leadership positions, not because of the incompetence, but because of the hegemony of men. A press shot at the inauguration of parliamentary business in September 2023 in the new parliament building also gave a fresh shot started to the aspirations of Indian citizens with the passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. After much delay, the Constitution won and the 28th Amendment Bill 2023, popularly known as the Women's Reservation Bill 2023, became a rare piece of legislation in independent India to be cleared overwhelmingly by both houses. It is indeed a groundbreaking event. While India's founding fathers ensured that India was really to adopt universal adult suffrage, the role of women in shaping the country's political future still remains minimal. Global trends exhibit a sharp reduction in the age of political leaders, but can a common Indian woman, judged by her commitment and ambition, dream of becoming the Prime Minister of India at the age of 37, like Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand? Across the world, women are appreciated by society in supportive and emotional roles, but very seldom in leadership roles. The world hates and denigrates ambitious women. Take, for example, the case of Hillary Clinton. There is not an iota of doubt that her political experience and acumen trumped Trump's competencies. However, America, the world's so-called top democracy, chose an experienced and Mr. Trump over her to lead them. In leadership roles, historical evidence points out that but for a few Talib's black swans, all women who have assumed leadership roles did not get there by sheer industry competence and intelligence. They were allowed only for the inconvenience of men who were disqualified from assuming these positions. Or if it served some political agenda in the Indian political arena, women leaders were most often convenient choices. Their initial acceptance was the perception that they could be conveniently removed, but their inherent acumen belied those designs. Historical evidence also shows that most women who make it to leadership positions have a mix of privileges of higher education, the support of influential mentors of our families, belong to upper classes or castes. If there is a survey, I am sure that the figures will show that the percentage of women legislatures who have had university and higher education is almost 10%, versus such a percentage of male legislatures. Despite these privileges, women also take a longer to assume leadership positions. Even Indira Gandhi, who had the highest elitist advantage and was politically active from an early age, was not fielded as the prime minister on Jawaharlal Nehru's death in 1964 and had to wait till Shastri's death in 1966 to assume the prime ministerial role. Rajiv Gandhi, on the other hand, by virtue of being the son and even though not politically active earlier, was immediately fielded after Mr. Gandhi's assassination. The question thus is whether an Indian woman shown up in nepotistic advantages can be in a top leadership position in good time. The deepest cut is that the handful of privileged women who assume leadership are not supportive or empathetic to the aspirations of those women who do not even have access to basic needs such as nutrition, education, and financial independence. They reel under the misconception that they have become leaders by virtue of their own efforts and sacrifices, ignoring the personal advantages they possess. The achieves bear testimony to this attitude during the Round Table Conference held in 1930s in London. A letter was written on November 16, 1931 by Sarojini Naidu and Begum Jahanara Sahanwaja, presenting a joint manifesto by the All India Women's Conference, the Women's Indian Association, and the Central Committee of the National Council of Women in India. They demanded neither discriminatory nor favorable treatment on the basis of gender in legislative representation, thereby rejecting reservation. Incidentally, Sarojini Naidu had the advantage of being educated at the King's College, London, and Cambridge with a scholarship from the Nizam of Hyderabad. Begum Jahanara Shahnawaz, a Muslim League member, on the other hand, advocated along with Radhabai Subharayan a minuscule 5% reservation for women, while Begum Jahanara Sahanawaz studied at Queen's Mary College, Lahore. Radhabai Subharayan had the privilege of attending Somerville College, Oxford. Both the women were from elite backgrounds, affluent families, and upper classes. Regressive views as are a hurdle. Thus, the biggest block is the regressive views on gender equality held by men and women. This has been seen even in otherwise progressive men, as seen when Sri Rajagopalachari opposed Radhabai Subbarayan's choice to fight from a general seat. Mulayam Singh's accusation in Parliament in 2010 that the previous avatar of the Women's Reservation Bill would only champion the cause of educated, urban, and elite women failed to recognize that the core objective of the bill was to create space for women who did not have the good fortune of belonging to privileged and elite classes. A report in the leading daily said that political analysts felt, and that I rightly so, that the stand of Mulayam Singh and Lalu Prasad Yadav did not stem from their concern for women, but because it would reduce the space for men who dominate elections in our patriarchal society. Why do women have to wait so long to close that gender gap? The present bill is the first step towards actualizing gender parity. One only wishes that that its implementation would be based on a readjustment of state seats on the basis of the 1991 King census, as it is done in the case of scheduled caste seats by the Delimitation Commission, rather than waiting for the lead delimitation exercise pegged on the next census, whenever it is held. It is time to quickly set right historical wrongs. Men want change, society needs change, and there is no reason why should be late. It should be late. The Maldives, the evolution of a democracy. Let's read this about the Maldives. The Maldives, South Asia's smallest nation state, sent a clear signal through its latest presidential election. Democracy is thriving. The holding of yet another free and fair election enhances the country's international prestige. The key issues at play related to the concerns of voters, especially hang voters, for the economic well-being, employment, housing, and improvements needed for the tourism industry in education and healthcare. Therefore, to portray the election as a football match between China and India, resulting in India's defeat, as some Western news agencies have done, is to betray ignorance of how this nation of 19,192 Iceland's functions. Luckily, the people of Maldives know better. Five men shared future. The whole era when Maumoon Abdul Gayoom ruled as the president from 1978 to 2008, gave way to a multi-party democracy, a charismatic democracy under a new constitution. Mohammad Nasheed, a charismatic but mercurial leader, became the first directly elected president. He did not complete his 5 year term and ended up sharing it with Muhammad Wahid Hassan. Abdullah Hamid, the most pro China president so far, served his full term 2013 to 2018, followed by Ibrahim Mohammad Soili, the candidate of the Maldivian Democratic Party and the architect of India's India First policy, who served from 2018 till now. Following his defeat, he will hand over the presidency to the clear winner. Mohammad Mauchi, the opposition candidate backed by an alliance of the Progressive Party of Maldives and the People's National Congress. The mayor of the capital city, Male, Mr. Malay, the Moichi, will be sworn in as the new president next month. Objectively, the outgoing president had a commendable term in office during a difficult period marked by COVID 19, the Ukraine war, and the global economic slowdown that affected the Maldives too. Why then was Mr. Soli defeated? There are three reasons. First, he was fighting against the currents of history. No incumbent has been re elected in the Maldives. People feel empowered by the weapons of democracy to bring in and oust rulers. Second, what seemed a certainty became inevitable once the ruling MDP party split and Mr. Nasheed exited. Mr. Soli's apparent attachment to the presidential chair clashed with Mr. Nasheed's overwhelming ambition. No reconciliation was forthcoming, and as a result, Mr. Soli lost by the same margin, about 8% of the votes in the second round that Mr. Nasheed's candidate had scored in the first round. Third, whole timers believe that with Mr. Nasheed, a communicator for excellence, gone, the MDP could not effectively counter the disinformation campaign launched by the opposition alliance. which inserted answers unnecessarily the issues of geopolitics in a domestic campaign. But in politics, perceptions matter. With Mr. Nasheed's departure, the ruling party lost its motherboard. The path ahead. The election results have triggered rapid developments. At the request of President-elect Meoji, President Soli agreed to shift former President Amin from prison to house arrest. Mr. Amin is serving a long sentence, 11 years for corruption. He is seen as Mr. Meoji mentor. And so the first facet of Maldivian politics to watch now is the type of dynamic that develops between the men. Political conventions may operate in the beginning, but the logic of power and the magic of a presidency work alike everywhere. It can be expected that the mayor of Male will be soon begin to think and act like a president, conscious of his obligations to all his people and his august regional responsibilities. He may focus on domestic priorities of development while leveraging foreign policy to promote his nation's interest. In external relations, the new administration will have at least three choices: rewarded to the India Out campaign of former President as Amin, continue the India First policy of the outgoing president, or innovated calibrated policy that allows a balancing of relations with its key partners, especially China and India. The world has changed since Mr. Amin's time. The Belt and Road Initiative, which Maldives had accepted under his leadership, it's in serious trouble. Then the Sri Lankan financial crisis erupted, which required India's steady help. Finally, the Islamist constituency in the Maldives, not particularly friendly to India, will no doubt note the changed equations between India and the Gulf states. It is reflected also in the waning interest of West Asia and a bankrupt Pakistan, which has long nurtured extremism in the Maldives and can hardly provide a succor to those elements in the Iceland state. Notes for New Delhi. For India, the next phase of regional diplomacy may admittedly to be complex, but enough success and achievements exist to impart confidence. At the people's level, a positive mindset prevails towards India. This has been reinforced by extensive development work and numerous small community development projects already completed, such as the building of community centers, children's parks, and student ferries between islands. Thousands of Maldivian youth have been to India for training and capacity building programs in the past 5 years. India is a major source of tourism, imports, and investment, and jealously nurtures as its role as the first responder every time an emergency strikes the Maldives. But more can be done and should be considered. Past the Colombo Security Conclave, comprising India, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Mauritius, Bangladesh, and the Seychelles should be strengthened, showing tangible outcomes in maritime security and the development of the blue economy. By boldly reimagining the post-South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation South India, New Delhi should create a basis for the Bay of Bengal initiative for multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation to invite the Maldives as an observer at its next summit. Finally, there is the perennial need for additional resources to so that India's strategic community and media organizations take a greater interest in a small but vital neighbor, building bridges of mutual understanding and trust. This is about the Maldives present status. Let's go to the next page. Local sentiments. The center must heed the political message of voters in Kargil. We need evidence-based traditional medicine. The vexatious problem of caste atrocities. Much remain to be done in Tamil Nadu as recent events have shown. 2023 Han goes to be warmest year on record. This year recorded the hottest ever September, following the warmest ever 2 months on record, July and August 2023. Caste census is like an X-ray of the country, Rahul in MP. It will help detect problems faced by OBCs, Dalits, and tribal people. Congress leader says he hearts that a 40 will post center to conduct a nationwide census. accuses BJP government in state of corruption. BJP faces protest in Tong for fielding a parachute candidate. ED takes possession of Raja's properties. NewsClick found official sent to judicial custody for 10 days. Manipur government holds a meeting to chalk out plan for disposal of 94 unclaimed bodies. Two militants shot dead in Shopian encounter. Trade and security ties with India gatherings and face. Australian speaker rally by four left parties today ahead of force. Net diet tax collection up 21.8% to 9.57 lakh crore. Modi speaks to Netanyahu, condemns attack on Israel. People of India stand firmly with Israel in this difficult war, says PM. Netanyahu also spoke to US President Joe Biden. Israeli PM says that they did not want this war and it was forced upon them. India can play a role to defuse crisis in way of Palestine. Man gets jail time in ISIS Abu Dhabi module case. Congress resolution on Israel conflict invites attack from BJP. Stays debate within. An Indian in a quake hit Afghanistan cries for help, wants to come back home. Nine verticals identified for integration of services, CDS. India Italy signed defense agreement. First test flight of Gaganyaan mission scheduled on October 21. The exercise is intended to test the crew module. It involves launching the unit to outer space, bringing it back to Earth, and recovering it after touchdown in the Bay of Bengal. Morbi Bridge tragedy. SIT indicts a contractor for serious lapses. BJP MP Ramesh Biduri skips privileges committee meeting. Center sets up a protocol to help malnourished children. Tele Manas Seva has counseled 3.5 lakh people Mandavia. Mental health centers are time worn, says NHRC. ED searches AIP MLA Amarnathullah Khan's house in Delhi. Tanzanian's president gets a JNU honorary doctorate. Look into import or distribution of pet coke as it tells CAQM. Gandhari's advice. Russia upholds the detention of US reporter Ivan Gaskovich. 8-foot statue of Mahatma Gandhi unveiled in South Africa. 29 killed in army strike on camp for displaced in Myanmar rebels. Chinese Coast Guard claims to have chased away Philippine ship. Israel pounds Gaza as people scramble for safety in enclave. Heard Afghanistan's plea for creation of humanitarian corridors, warning that hospitals are overwhelmed with wounded who are running out of supplies. What is Hamas, the Palestinian militant group? Biden interviewed as part of probe into classified documents. He is being probed for improper retention of classified file during his stint as vice president. Heightening attack on media signals democratic backsliding in South Asia. Hasina unveils the largest project built with Chinese aid. IMF raises India's financial year 24 GDP growth forecast to 6.3%. Global lender sees retail inflation in the South Asian nation quickening it to 5.5% in 23-24 before easing to 4.6% in 2024 to 25. Fund cuts its economic growth forecast for China and the Euro area. Pre-booking starts for Nissan Magnite EZ shipped AMT SU. Tata Motors on track to sell 1 lakh electric cars in financial year 24. State-owned MD NBFCs foot under PCA's norms. Ambani pips Adani as richest Indian. CIEL Group to raise 200 crore in pre-IPO funding. RBI tells BOB to suspend onboarding of clients on HOP. India's space tech industry has downstream potential. Vishnu Surya debuts on NSE emerged at 12% premium. Rohit's man in blue primed to have a smooth passage against Afghanistan. Recup- Recuperating Gill out of Saturday's match against Pakistan too. Cricket's greatest canvas to immortalize the World Cup. India and Afghanistan should have shared the gold, says Farid Malik. Gill, Siraj and Malan nominated for ICC's Men's Player of the Month. Rathore in no mood to tinker with the batting order. Rashid can do anything on his day, says Captain Shahid. The hard fought win against a formidable Australian outfit will enthuse India. Shafiq Rijwan's turn, Trump, Mendes, and Samar Vikram Mas. Pakistan records the highest successful chase in the history of the quadrennial event. Hassan's four-wicket haul brings Babar's men back into the game and towards the end of the innings. After Lanka looked poised for more than the 344 it scored. Malan the rampage as England's 5 over proves too much for Bangladesh. The plan was to stay calm. Arabil's Rijwan. Pawan's reign as the most expensive player continues. Jafar Danish, the top pick on day 2 of PKL action. Indian athletes will perform even better at the next Asian Games, assured smoothly. The PM assures all possible help to achieve greater heights. Congratulates the women athletes who accounted for almost half the medals won in China. Cricket at the Olympics. Good news all around for a sport going global. Dasara Games to kick off today. Goa CM inaugurates torch relay for national games. National Open Athletics from today. Satvik Chira combined on top of the wood. Malala clinches the feature. National Open Athletics from today. Mumbai registers Rizi with win over Karnataka. View of Indian standards. Manak Mahotsav. What standards day? Youth to connect. 11th to 14th October 2023 support the young volunteers towards creating quality and standardization awareness. Verstappen's dominance spell binding and he is just getting started. While the road to F1 greatness was not always smooth, there was time till 2018 when the Dutchman's driving bordered on the dangers and he came under intense criticism from the rivals. The 26-year-old has realized his pure phase is enough to be at the top of the game without having to do something reckless. Something changed about cyclone formation in the 1990s, says study. A new study has reshaped in the Arabian Sea cyclogenesis potential, which may be linked to a shift in the warm Arctic, cold ocean pattern as well as regime shifts and global warming. To understand this better, scientists must further investigate natural variability. Climate trends, shifts and decadal cyclones, cycles portend important differences in the way we plan the use of our resources, including water, crops, and energy. When sun and rain mingle. Text and context. The IMF's GDP growth forecast for India in financial year 24. Income tax collected under GDP TDS from online gaming crypto. Funds approved by Assam for Economic Corridor project. The number of people who could die due to strokes by 2050. The investment by telecom companies under the PLI scheme. The impact of Claudia Goldin's work. What is Professor Goldin's claim about the inconsistency of women's participation in the labor market? How do expectations of future careers play a role in women's employment rate? How did the introduction of the birth control pill change the trajectory of women's career? This is the last page almost. Yes, right. Treasure trove field notes from the forests of Arunachal Pradesh. How local field assistants help researchers, conservationists, and forest officials map the rich biodiversity of this state in the northeast with its tiger reserves, river systems, migratory birds, varied flora and fauna, and complex ecosystems. This is about today news, guys. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is an ongoing military and political conflict. It is which and the one of the world's longest continuing conflicts. This is today's news, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed the newspaper reading. Read at least for 2 hours a day. Uh, it will make you really very good in communication. And if you like the video, please share with your friends, guys. And don't forget to subscribe. And see you in the upcoming videos, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.